I don't rattle off conspiracy theory, conspiracy theorist, or psyop. And there are very good reasons not to. You could figure as much out. I've told you some of them, not all of them. Yeah, but here this kid is babbling about a psyop. In other news, what you're going to hear in this video has to do with Zecharia Sitchin. What you're not going to hear in this video, and I did verify it to see if he did or didn't, look up where Zecharia Sitchin's home office was. The same applies to that Manly Palmer Hall, but specifically Zecharia Sitchin. And he will go on to tell you in this video part of what I'm alluding to, and you could verify it. You could also appreciate just how many people you know and like and love, and or strangers you'll bump into. I mean, go to a bar, right? And you could buy somebody a drink if you're well-to-do, or you could sit down and you could cheers somebody and be like, how about that Zecharia Sitchin and, this, that, and the other thing, what is it? Eric Von Daniken or whatever the fuck his name is. Chariot of the Gods. Name drop some of this bullshit. And the morons you bump into are probably going to bite. They're probably going to be like, I know, man. I've totally seen aliens. This stuff is so real. Because you and I are surrounded by absolute retards. Stupid, bottom of the barrel morons. Everything that's wrong. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. What this kid rattles off, at least the videos I've seen, and I've watched a handful of them now, it's superficial trash. He's rehashing things that have been spoon-fed to you and I long term. And so you got a bunch of kids who are wet behind the ears and or were born yesterday, and they think this shit sounds really neat. So he's got a lot of traction, which pisses me off. It does. It rubs me raw. Because what I've been doing is, in fact, neat. It does reflect reality. It's a big fucking deal based on just how fucked we are. And most of you will not see this and or care.
Not familiar with it? It's the idea that some aliens came here 400,000 years ago, genetically engineered apes into humans to mine gold, and then left because, I don't know, our dicks were too small or something. Not only is this theory baloney, it's actually an orchestrated psyop intended to misdirect the conspiracy community. Now, how do I know that's the case? Thank you for asking. The theory first came from Zecharia Sitchin in his book, The 12th Planet, based on his own translation of ancient Sumerian text. Aside from the fact that Sitchin was funded by Lawrence Rockefeller and operated his office out of Rockefeller Plaza and was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, I have other reasons to believe Sitchin's theory is fraudulent, if you will. Sitchin claimed that the word Shamu or Shamu in Sumerian means rockets or fiery sky chariots, when in reality, it's just a dead whale at SeaWorld. No, really, in linguistic reality, which I'm learning has nothing to do with Ratatouille, it actually means heaven or sky. Similarly, Sitchin interpreted the Sumerian word dinger or dinger as astronaut or extraterrestrial, when in reality it means God or deity. Now, why do I think this theory is a purposely orchestrated vessel of misinformation? Well, I've already explained Sitchin's relation with Rockefeller, but let's look a bit deeper. In the 80s and 90s, Lawrence Rockefeller made various moves and financial decisions to inorganically fuel alien and UFO discourse in conspiracy communities. You've been conditioned to believe that the government is hiding aliens from you, when in fact it's actually the opposite. The list goes on of Rockefeller's funding for further UFO discussion. He funded the UFO Disclosure Initiative with the Clinton administration. Another organization, known as the Fund for UFO Research, was donated to by Rockefeller. Zecharia Sitchin wasn't the only researcher that Rockefeller funded either. John Mack and Colin Andrews were both sponsored by Rockefeller to write books on alien abductions and crop circles. Both made multiple appearances on Coast to Coast AM, which is a globalist-controlled platform specifically designed to funnel misinformation to its conspiracy-minded following. Similar to Alex Jones's platform or Joe Rogan, but man. Who am I? Project Starlight, which aimed to convince global leaders of the realities of UFOs, was also funded by Lawrence Rockefeller. He also funded the creation of the UFO briefing document, which was overseen by his associate Marie Galbraith. The document was meant to present evidence of UFO phenomena to government officials and scientists. Rockefeller, as well as a society known as the Aviary Group, whose members include ex-US Air Force, CIA, and fake whistleblowers like Bob Lazar have fueled 99% of alien discourse and speculation. They've worked very hard to convince the public that aliens are a reality, from the Majestic 12 documents, Area 51 conspiracy theories, I mean, what is this, amateur hour? Come on. The infamous Roswell incident, as well as the very first UFO abduction, which included Betty and Barney Hill, friends of Major James McDonald, an Air Force and CIA intelligence operative. Not only does the Anunnaki theory attempt to legitimize the idea of extraterrestrials even more, it also throws conspiracy-minded individuals in the search of real alternative history off the scent of truth.
Let's be clear. I do not like this kid. Why? Because I've never found an account that has thousands of views, thousands of followers, who isn't shopping around propaganda. That's why. It is a generalization, but in the age of disinformation and patently fascist censorship, it also tracks if you consider, logic. You consider how we're being manipulated. I've never clicked on this kid's official account, so I thought I'd take you along with me. He's got 68,000 people following him. Up at the top, you see somebody who also shops around superficial fucking garbage. That's the guy who will tell you all about Vanguard and BlackRock, but he won't talk about the trilateral city-states or anything that fucking matters. What do I know? I'm trying to get rid of this, and usually there's another little button that I can click on to drag this garbage up, but all I see is message and follow. Curious. I just want to see what else he had in here. Occult Masonic symbolism. This is what I think we already went through. What I left online. 3-minute manifestation bullshit. Secret Brotherhood. We might listen to that manifestation one because people have been chopping around a lot of shit. I'm not going to tell you what I know. Just to be clear, I'm not going to tell you what I know. Because you don't see it online. People don't understand this shit. What real truth seeking looks like. That's dog shit. Out of blush. What I'm looking for right now is something that leaps out as propaganda. Keep in mind, I've been drinking tonight. So maybe I'm missing things. And shit like this is also boring to me. It's absolutely boring. But accounts like this have lots of followers because people are fucking stupid. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Because who knows, maybe 1 or 2 people will see what I left on here and think. Heaven forbid. Where CIA agents come from. Who fucking cares where the alphabet agency comes from? It's corrupted garbage. Who fucking cares? Occult symbolism in society. What's he say this has to do with?
You probably know this as the Star of David on the Israeli Jewish flag.
Nah.
But it's actually the Seal of Solomon,
Nah.
which predates Judaism. He became
Some of you should be having a laugh based on what I've already taught you.
the king of Israel around the mid-10th century BC. The symbol itself represents alchemical unity. The triangle going up represents the active, solar, masculine energy of the universe, while the
You mean fire or a dick?
triangle going down represents the feminine, passive, and lunar energies of the
You mean water or a cunt?
universe. As above, so below, essentially. The duality of the cosmos,
Now you understand tops and bottoms if you live in Portland, Oregon.
which is also represented by Baphomet going like that, or whatever. How do you do it? Like that? Something like that?
Yeah, it's solve and coagula. One means to loosen, one means to tighten.
Something like that.
The right's always pointing up, motherfuckers. It's not hard to remember.
Don't take that the wrong way. And as well as the checkerboard in masonry, the black and white checkerboard, which represents duality.
I just want to reiterate, this is a superficial cunt on the DARPA internet who has traction because he doesn't have a goddamn clue. Because he's a superficial cunt.
These concepts, to your surprise, stem out of ancient tantric sex practices, which occurred within all of the...
Oh, and as a reminder, everything he's crapping out is old hat. He is smearing shit on the wall and telling you it's neat. This is the same garbage that has been circulated for decades. It's not new, you can't use it as a tool, and most of it has been corrupted.
ancient mystery traditions, from Eleusis to the Phoenician bathhouses, where sex rituals were used as both a way to increase or amplify one's life force energy, otherwise known as chi in Eastern mysticism, or
Chi, Prana, Vril, Etherions. It's got a lot of names. Meanwhile, this kid is capable of reading Wikipedia pages and reciting them verbatim.
or kung fu movies, or Vril as well, going back to the Vril Society, which Hitler took great inspiration from, as well as the
And to caution you, the Vril Society never existed. It's garbage. I mention Vril often because people like this usually rope in people like you, who would probably see these videos in your fucking feed and talk about the Vril Society, which never existed.
prolonging of climax, which allegedly produced a state of enlightenment and a glimpse at life beyond death. The Seal of Solomon is most prominently recognized from the Lesser Key of Solomon, a 5-book 17th century grimoire for communication with higher or lower entities. Solomon was said to have had himself command over all demons. The symbol became associated with Judaism in the late Middle Ages. It first appeared on medieval Kabbalistic amulets and protective charms, especially in Spanish and Ashkenazi mysticism. The Jews are
Don't forget, Ashkenazi has to do with Europe.
black magicians to a degree. Well, I get
All magic is black magic, motherfuckers, because we live in a physical world. You know, when people talk about 3D, but you can't experience 3D unless time exists, which means it's infused with 4D. I really don't want to hate people and be this disappointed in the masses. The occult background, once again, CIA shit doesn't matter whatsoever. The Freemasons who predicted, they didn't predict shit. Stuff is planned in advance and rolled out on a schedule. Most of the agendas that technically, what should I say, predated my birth and yours, most likely, these things were cooked up at least 100 years in advance, I shit you not. Our masters have been working against the people since the 16th century. This isn't sensational bullshit. I'm not trying to pull your leg. I guarantee it. But that's hearsay to you. So take it with many pinches of salt. The U.S. equals modern day Roman Empire. That's not insightful whatsoever. Now, if he started talking about the bits and pieces that have to do with the trilateral city-states and linking them to something I'm not allowed to talk about on the Zionist fucking DARPA internet, nudge, nudge, something, something, well, that might go somewhere. What's this say? The esoteric assessment of Epstein's Island? I'll do you one better. Here, how long is this? 1 second.
That's just how these things go. They're all pedophile.
Here, we'll run through this, and then, well, here, I'll just tell you. There was a ranch in New Mexico where I grew up. Everybody's babbling about an island. There was a fucking ranch in New Mexico where I grew up. But you don't hear people talking about that because people confuse entertainment with research. People click repost instead of thinking for themselves. This is by design, not coincidence.
They all enjoy the company of children.
Do you think this kid's going to mention the ranch? I don't. Will it play? Hold on. I was like, did he block me? Maybe. You never know.
That's just how these things go. They're all pedophiles. They all enjoy the company of children.
Oh, the video just craps out. Let's see if we shuffle it along. Does he do it now?
Because they're billionaires.
Yep.
Perhaps. Or are they billionaires
Good job,
because
Mr.
they're
Parker.
pedophiles? Take that as you will. If you... Maybe I'll test the theory. But let's talk about the island and the lesser known aspects of it. Because if you look at the architecture of the central building, at least the one we're all familiar with the blue lines and the dome on top, what does the dome represent? The dome is the feminine energy.
Aren't those similar colors to Israel? Aren't they? What's the color scheme of the Israel flag? Spurious correlation.
the female energy, the lunar energy, the moon in alchemy. And this is the harvesting of energy. So were they kids? Was it getting satanic? Probably. It always is, right? And so Epstein...
And by the way, you're made of flesh, you know, having to do with the clay. It's all satanic, you dumb motherfuckers.
Shout out to him. There were whistleblowers, females, rape victims, who came out and said, oh, sometimes he didn't fuck us. Sometimes we would just massage him, he'd be naked, we'd rub him down, baby oil, and then he would take business calls. No ejaculation, no nothing, just purely building up the libido, building up the sexual life force energy, because that's what a lot of this is. Obviously, they're children. Some of them enjoy it, I'm sure. But who really wants to fuck a kid? Maybe it's a phase, maybe like, that could be neat, but...
I used to hang out with people in the music industry. It's not a passing fancy. It's not something that's a minority by any leap of the imagination. I shit you not. I danced with some celebrities. I grew up in New Mexico. It's not a lot of good people in Hollywood. Just to put it mildly. This kid doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. For what it's worth, but what the fuck do I know?
But, like, does anyone really want to fuck a kid? I mean, my uncle did, but does anyone else want?
That was subtle.
I don't know. I'm not the master of the universe. And so Epstein, he would actually immerse himself amongst the sexuality. Every sexual aspect he could encounter, he'd put himself around it.
By the way, if I said any of these things on the DARPA internet, I would be censored.
And then take these business calls, make his money, because these billionaires, these secret society adepts, who most of them are not, but have learned from, who have taken the techniques from and used them to make billions of dollars. Hillary Clinton referenced Moloch in the emails, right? But Epstein, he took these calls and he took them being massaged. And as his life force was being built up, because when that life force is being built up, when that energy is being built up, that's when you're at your best. That's when you're at your most creative. That's when you speak the best. You give the best presentation. You can give the best sales call. And that's why I was touching a kid before this. Is it manifesting well? I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'm not molesting anybody and nobody's molesting me. But I've also been conducting experiments long term. And what he just said is also not true. You can knock out some really neat things when you are at your lowest. And I'm living proof. Yeah. Assume what you will. And keep in mind, you'd have to tear yourself down. But most people assume I got a big ego.
We'll see, hopefully. So if this is really phenomenal, then you know why. And if it isn't...
This account is dog shit. Let's see what else. Netflix, I've complained... Okay, so what this kid is babbling about by and large is a bunch of superficial subjects, which is why superficial people see these things. It's why it's being circulated, because it's superficial shit. Some of it tracks, sure. And people should know these things, sure. But you and I are also dealing with superficial internet babies who are more concerned with clicking repost than actually dipping into the information, validating the information, despite the fact that they'll repeat words like, what the fuck is that goddamn thing? I can't think what it is. It's a word that didn't used to exist, and I have a list of them. But like I said, I was drinking earlier, and now I can't think of it. Not verifying. I can't think what it's called. Vetting. That's what it is. They'll repeat vetting, but they won't actually vet anything as people would think of it. They don't verify information. They just click repost and regurgitate it. Because no, nothing's regurgitate. It's an old expression of mine, and it's absolutely true, unfortunately. What you're going to see in here is superficial slop. What else do we got? Those are just the videos. Oh, and all he does is post videos. What's this? These are the tagged videos, supposedly. How old is this one?
They expected Jesus to be the reincarnation of Zoroaster.
Shut up. I'm trying to figure this out. It only dates back to February 2025. I mean, this kid's a 12-year-old that doesn't know a fucking thing. But he's got a pat on the ass because he's shopping around dog shit. It bothers me. It really bothers me. But I also appreciate, which most people don't understand how far gone things are. They don't understand what they're being spoon-fed. And if they're being spoon-fed something, it's likely garbage. That's why you have a feed. That's what's being circulated. That's how the algorithm works. But some of this shit might sound good to you. Some of this shit might be new to you because you are, in fact, a superficial internet baby who is not worth your salt. You could change this. And I do intend to offend you so that you might step outside of your comfort zone. You might actually do the right thing. You might start thinking for yourself. You might choose not to confuse entertainment with research, and you might dig deeper. For the time being, you and I do still have some tools available to one another, or available to us is what I'm trying to say. Recently, I've been taking it upon myself to document when I dance with Google. We're using the DARPA internet. Google's a tool of propaganda. And I've been showing you just how fucking inconsistent and all around inefficient Google is. Some of you understand it. Some of you appreciate it to bits and pieces, or to varying degrees. That's how I should spit it out. But most of you don't have some of the deeper roots or the answers to riff off of. So you don't know where it leads. You don't have that, it's not an anticipatory effect. What is it? How am I trying to put it? You don't know where it technically should pan out, or you technically don't know what the answer should be. So you probably give up. Because after a while, it is tiresome. It is absolutely tiresome. And what I keep telling people, and I keep trying to impress this on the masses, the fucking 2 people who see my videos, which is asinine. It's just fucking crazy how censored I am. It's just worse and worse and worse. If you don't know the answer to the question that you're asking, you're not going to be able to figure it out. And that's how Google works now. It's crazy. You can use other browsers, and the other browsers are purposely dog shit because most of them, this reminds me, here, let me tell you a quick story. This was AOL. This is AOL back in Albuquerque, New Mexico. One of my old friends, she went to go get a job there. And after she went to the interview and they hired her, she was like, I'm not supposed to tell you any of this. And I was like, tell me it all. And she's like, I'm gonna, let's do some drinking and we'll eat some Skittles. And so we did. That's how it worked. We play board games, eat fucking candy, and get trashed. What am I trying to spit out? Oh, well, parts of it I got now. Like I said, I've been drinking. So these proprietary bullshit, right? AOL. She goes, so AOL actually owns, and she listed company after company after company after company. She said, they don't own them outright, but they own a percentage of them. And technically, because I signed one of those, non-disclosure statements, is that what it is? NDSA? I can't remember how it goes, but some of you might know what I'm talking about. She wasn't supposed to mention it because technically she could have been sued. But they owned their rival, the competitors, in other words, to varying degrees, which means they didn't have a rival. This is just like Comcast and CenturyLink. And do you have 3 options for fucking internet? That's not something that would exist if you and I were free. And if things were for the people, by the people. If you flash forward in time, in other words, what Comcast is a bastard version of the garbage that I'm complaining about and poorly highlighting in this delivery. And when she told me that, it really stuck with me because other companies I worked for, AT&T is what I was going to spit out, did the same thing. The exact same thing. And we'd have a little meeting, a little sit down, especially in the training program, where they would tell you this and they tell you it with a smile and they dress it up as something that it's not. And that's how these corporations work. And that should terrify you. Because that is the opposite of how everything should function if you and I are in fact free. Because we are being told absolute lies. We're being presented with things that are moderated by the same people. Which means they have no competitors. Which means they can manipulate these things to such a point where they not only infringe on us, but what's the word that I'm looking for? They milk us for every single red cent, for the lack of better words. And you and I have no ifs, ands, or buts. We have no say in it whatsoever, because these are our only options. And the more society tells us that you have to have a cellular device and you have to have a connection to the goddamn DARPA internet and fill in the fucking blank, well, I felt like I had to move something, because you might have lost your mind because you didn't see anything moving on the screen. The more we're told we have to have all these things, the more and more what? The more and more we're in their pocket, the worse it gets. And so it goes. Just the same. Things like this. This is what you'll see on the DARPA internet. And the very few people who did see this video probably took nothing away from it. You probably won't think about it. I didn't give you something necessarily that you could click repost on, because I'm complaining about things. I'm chastising morons. Which means you don't want to be affiliated with that, because you're a chicken shit most likely. And the last thing you would do is rock the boat. Alright, so you can think of it in terms of what I'm about to tell you, but before I tell you that, I do appreciate, and most of you probably won't, Edward Norton. Yeah, I'm talking about Edward Norton. The only reason he has a career is because his family is rich. Hollywood is a joke, and it's a club, and if you got money, you might just be able to open those doors. And that's exactly how it works. Army Hammer? Who the fuck names a kid that? And you might look up some of the, super scandalous horse shit having to do with that bag of garbage. Same difference. Has a career or had a career. Maybe he still does. Probably still does. That's how Hollywood works. Because his family is wealthy. So think of it in terms of Fight Club. If this is your first day on the DARPA internet, don't click repost. Or you can think of it as, if this is your first day on the DARPA internet, don't regurgitate shit. If this is your first day on the fucking DARPA internet, you probably shouldn't be posting videos, because you don't have the first fucking clue what you're talking about.